get some of this mucus up out of me,
You said get some of this
yo,
what out of me?
episode 100. Welcome to the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. My name is Deonte Epps. This is episode 100. And I would like to welcome back my best friend, my ace, my guy, my dude, my best man, Dane Beasley. Return to the Duo Stuff Sports and Stuff podcast. Brother, how are you doing? How is life? I feel like I have 1,000 questions for you. Actually,
Man.
for the audience, we talk um every now and then, you've experienced a life-changing moment, man. How's it
Yeah.
going?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's first to be black. First to be back. Great to be back. Return of the black. No, I'm really good, man. It's been a very, very fun, enjoyable roller coaster of a ride. Um, Anytime you bring in a new member of the family. But then again, the stakes are much higher. The responsibilities are very well increased when there's two members that you welcome into your family. So first and foremost, shout out to the missus, for doing all the hard work. I, of course, just merely a cheerleader in this process. But everything's been going great, man. The twins are past their birth weight. They're picking up weight. Um, Joy and Josiah, those are the names that we went with. And my oldest son Langston, which is weird saying that now. My oldest son Langston, he's handling like a champ, being helpful. According to him, those are his kids. So
The picture
you
you
know,
sent me, bro, is Dane sent me a picture of Langston with his baby brother and sister, and he has his arm up above him, like he's like so proud of the work that he's done.
yeah.
Uh,
And when you get older now, I'll tell you about that. But for now, yeah. So, but he's doing good, man. And then of course my aunt, no, yeah, my hugest shout out goes to the family, niece's family. They've been stepping in to help and just be around to help us, whether it's holding babies so we can take a nap, washing dishes, folding clothes, bringing us food. So family members have been a huge help for that, and then just anybody that's giving a shout out or just thoughts and prayers for us because it's a task, but we're in it for the ride and all the memories and experiences that we can gain on the way. But it's been fun, man.
that
Look, I'd encourage anybody, any any two um, willing adults that may or may not be in a relationship, if they want to venture down the path of child, bringing children into this world, try experimenting with kids that you can return first. That'd be my first piece of advice and my last piece of advice. So that's it for me. Look, how are things on the outside world?
yeah,
I try to keep an ear on a few things sports related, but for the
yeah.
most part, it's been just
Hey man,
glimpses here and there.
you know how you say, man, you ain't missing nothing out here, bro. I did want to ask you, like, before we kind of talked about your sleep schedule, but how
Right.
is it? How is it now that you've got not one, not two, three
Man,
children? Like, how's that sleep schedule work? Is it getting better? Like, I could
it's
I could only imagine, like, just I think I texted you one time. You're like, bro, I woke up for like 15 minutes, or just like these 15-minute
yeah.
shifts of sleep.
It's interesting, bro, because Langston still stays on his schedule. Wake him up at 6:15, 6:10 to get ready for school, drop him off at school, pick him up from school around 4 o'clock. Get home, eat, shower, raise my kid, talk to him, and then he goes down to bed at 8 o'clock. The twins, they're up eating every 2 or 3 hours, right? And with that, just trying to make sure that one, diapers change, two, um, diapers change, two, that they're fed, and three, that you interact with them and talk with them and stuff. And in the process, of course, try to get some sort of sleep. So I think during the first week, it was I think literally maybe 2, maybe 3 hours of sleep, and every 24 hours or so. But it was more so just because trying to get those routines down and keep them both on the same schedule.
Yeah.
The one thing that we've heard from multiple parents that have twins and things like that, keeping them on the same schedule. And my own sister, my little sister Leah, she has a set of twins, and she told us the same thing before they got here.
Yeah.
Keep them on the same schedule. So that's sleep. The sleep will come, and it's the one thing that you can't get back. Like the
Mm-hmm.
one thing in life, you can always make more money, you can always get more jobs, you can always buy another car. That's the one thing you can never get back is more sleep. So that's just one of the things you just you have to tough it out and go on autopilot and just be very careful that you're awake during all of your tasks, especially like driving. Because I've seen horror stories of people like driving but like not awake because of sleep deprivation. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what's up, man. And I just want to say again, I'm proud of you guys, and um, especially my. Actually, I talked to my dad yesterday, and
Uh,
he asked about you guys, and he's like, "Man, just tell Niecy she's a warrior, man." Like,
She's a
and I could only
warrior.
imagine. Yeah, it's warrior. But
From the
proud of.
number one Carolina Panthers fan,
Yeah,
she's gonna appreciate that so much.
yeah.
Whenever you listen to this, Mr. Epps, whether that's in 3 or 4 months from now, or maybe even 3 or 4 days from now, since
He
it's
should
a
be caught up by now. We'll see, man. Ain't no
very good
telling. Ain't
occasion.
no telling, man. But
But
happy
I'll
that.
make sure to send you some more pictures you can forward them
Yeah,
to your parents,
for
so
sure.
they can see.
Yeah,
So
they
yeah,
love those last ones you sent me, man. And yeah, bro, just happy for you guys. Obviously, happy for your family. Everything's going well. Salute to you guys, 1000%. Because I
appreciate
couldn't even imagine like being in that situation. I know you have to do it, obviously, because it's your kids, but it's not easy. From
so
what
you're
you,
under an obligation, not because
yeah,
we're on wax, but you happen
right.
to be somewhat reputable father.
Yeah, you have to be you're their father. But yeah, just salute to you guys, bro. Happy you're back. Episode 100, man. We finally
Man.
made it to the destination. I put on social media like it's hard to do something 100 times, like, and
Not really.
I salute, to everybody that's been rocking with us, and I'll say it probably throughout the podcast. And
True.
um we started this thing back in 2019, and we still rocking. Had some dope
Yeah,
guests.
man.
Excited for what the next 100 is gonna look like for us. But yeah, bro, just wanted to say salute to you on this partnership, on this uh journey,
On this
duo
journey,
journey, my guy.
on this mission.
Yeah, man. So I flew back home, Dane, yesterday, day before yesterday, to a
Super not playing.
snowstorm. I don't know if you knew that, but it's
It's one of Langston's toys he left here.
exactly.
Look, throwing this proper way.
Exactly. Uh Left the sunny and 85-degree weather in Florida. Karina and I went to Disney World for about 4 days.
Mm,
Two of her friends were running in like this Disney marathon.
nice.
Back to back days, they ran like a 10K and then a half marathon. I'm like, how are y'all doing this? Then they
So
went to the
y'all
parks with us.
y'all willingly went to a public execution.
Yeah.
That's what it
Well,
sounds like.
I didn't like the races were at like 5 a.m. So we were knocked out
Man.
asleep while they went out. But salute to them for that. I just went for the parks and uh, the incredible rides. But since you and I like, I went with you and your family way back in the day, bro. They've obviously
They've changed a few things.
they've added so much stuff. They added a new ride.
Still got Space Mountain over there?
Still got Space Mountain.
Okay, cool.
Um, but my new favorite ride is probably the new Guardians of the Galaxy comic rewind. It's
Really?
like it opened in mid to 2021.
Okay.
Um, but I tweeted like, man, I wish there were more Marvel stuff at Disney, but at Disneyland in California, there's like a whole Avengers campus with stuff. But
Um,
Disney was fun, man. Enjoyed myself like a little kid, obviously. And but I was saying we flew back Friday, or excuse me, what's today? Today is
today's
Wednesday
Wednesday,
morning.
sir.
So we flew back Monday night,
Mm.
and we were trying to beat the snowstorm. If people don't know, there's a snowstorm in
On
the
on both coasts,
on both.
west and
Oh,
east.
bro, how crazy is that?
Hey man,
With like your mom and grandma used to say back in the day when stuff goes wild, like, oh baby, it's the end of
It's the end of
times.
times. You better be
You
prepared,
better
baby.
be prepared. He's coming back.
Are you ready for the return? Because if you not,
Yeah. Um, but yeah, we beat the snowstorm home, thank God. But I woke up yesterday morning having to shovel snow off our sidewalk and driveway because um
mm,
we have to, like, as a part of the city thing, like to have a clear
city
walkway for people that,
ordinance.
yeah, basically. So I say we got about 5-6 inches of snow
Man,
yesterday. But thank God I didn't have to go anywhere. I was working from home yesterday, but um, the weather has just been something else. Like specifically in Connecticut, it hasn't been. It's been a mild winter. Like when we moved here, people were telling us how it's gonna be like a crazy winter, and now that we've had a mild winter, or should I say January, February, everybody's saying like March is gonna be crazy, and so far it has been
Crazy as in good crazy, or crazy as in like worse? Like
crazy as in worse. Like since we had a mild January and February, the people that have lived here say, "Oh, that means March is gonna be crazy." In April, there's gonna be a random day on Easter where we get like 5 inches of snow. It's just weird, but um, I'm hoping that it continues to stay mild. One thing I am excited about, I want to say it's next weekend, Dane. I'm gonna look that up. Daylight savings time is ending.
hmm, hmm.
Let me see.
It's that spring forward, right?
March 12th. Yeah,
Is
we
that
get our
spring
hour
forward?
back,
Okay.
an extra hour of daylight. So I'm thankful for that.
For all you day walkers out there.
Yeah. Um, Dane, I don't know if you did this already.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Taxes? Yeah.
no. Very important. Hope you guys did your taxes. I put in our notes about General Homeboy,
Oh
the
yeah, of course.
combine. You
Of
ready for
course.
that? It's been a
I'm
long
always
time.
I'm always ready, baby.
It's
I'm always ready.
combine week, and we cannot go without bringing back our guy.
It's time for General Homeboy!
Haven't played that in a very long time. Shout out to Keith for
Man, should I?
producing. Yeah, go ahead.
Shout out to Keith.
Shout out to Keith with the General Homeboy. We have so like on my soundboard, I have literally all the different sounds he's created for us, and like it could be a
That was
legit,
my
it
favorite.
could be a legit mixtape, the duo mixtape of
Yeah, man.
beats
Of
and
different
sounds that he made.
sounds,
Yeah,
elevator music,
facts.
like
Um,
little James Bond theme from the '64 from in the main music.
facts. Facts. Dang, it's combine week.
Bro,
This is like I
it's
know for
upon us.
you, this is like one of the times where you're like really locked in. You love looking at the prospects coming into the NFL.
But of course.
Um, who are you looking at? What guys that maybe like people aren't really talking about that's kind of on your radar, maybe for the Cowboys or just in general?
Just in general, I mean, woo, brother, how much time do you have? No, I'm kidding. This was one of the more difficult segments because I try to narrow down just to two people, one on offense, one on defense, just for the sake of somebody you can keep your eyes on for two reasons. One, selfishly, someone I hope that the Cowboys target, and then two, unselfishly, someone that you can keep an eye on for the next few years. Just going down the road. One of the media guys that comes to mind for me that we shouted out a long time ago. This is how long we've been doing this. A long
Mhm.
time ago. Talanoa Hufanga from the 49ers. We talked about him on, well, I think this is before we actually gave it an official name, the General
Yeah,
Homeboy segment a long time ago. And he, was one of the pillars of that 49ers defense.
Mini Palomalu.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that's saying a lot of great things because Troy was such a phenomenal player, and the mystique behind who he was, like the gentleness behind the character, people cussing him out on offense. Like TJ Houshmandzadeh has a very, very funny story about the time he, essentially told Troy that he hit like, he hit like he hits like an inexperienced person.
right.
And Troy hit him with the God bless you. And it's like, you're supposed to be mad at me. You're supposed to knock my head off the next play. And TJ Houshmandzadeh, he stays by like, I've never been more respectful and fearing of a person after that. But in that same vein, there are two people, one of which is on offense. One is a quarterback. One is probably going to be drafted in the top 5. If I had to guess, probably one of the first quarterbacks drafted. Bryce Young. The story behind this young man is incredible. The awareness that he has, the arm talent that he has, and his pocket mobility and pocket presence is phenomenal. The reason why he's a topic of discussion right now is because people, again, we're back to that century and millennium
Measurables.
long argument of, well, he's
Height.
just not tall enough to play the position. I'm like, this is so
Do you
annoying. We have
think
to
that's
do
a
this
fair
every
a
single.
fair a fair argument though? Only because we seen in the past. I'm being devil's advocate here.
Sure.
In the past where we've seen the fragility of quarterbacks, so to speak. I think he got hurt this year for one game, maybe. Remember, he got hit and fell on his shoulder, and I
Yeah.
know a lot of teams are probably scared off one because of what happened with Tua Tagovailoa.
Mm-hmm.
Not only the concussions, but like he had a shoulder issue. In the NFL, he's had injuries with his shoulder and things like that. Is it fair, I guess, to say to have these questions, so to speak, due to his size because of what can come from playing the quarterback position in the league?
I think it's fair, but you have to understand this is the most violent sport known to mankind, right? So the injuries are expected. Shoot, going all the way back to Pee Wee, injuries are expected. We know the risks that we put ourselves into when we play this game, the impact that it has on our body from having several car crashes in the span of 4 quarters. Like we understand that. However, this game is changing. We are in the space where there are literal defensive ends who are 250, 265 pounds that should not be running 4.3, 4.4 speed. Do
It's
you
crazy.
really
Every year, bro, it
every
seems
year?
like it's
And,
getting more ridiculous with how fast these big men are.
right. And statistics tell us based on draft profiles, this is, combine results and outcomes that the most athletic positions in NFL history are defensive ends and linebackers. The least athletic positions in all of the NFL, quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers. So what does this tell you? Let me break it down to you. It's important to consider quarterbacks like Bryce Young because one, mobility. The days are long gone of your quarterbacks that are not able to escape pressure, they're not able to climb the pocket, they're not able to extend the play with their feet, either getting the first down with their legs or scrambling out of the pocket, avoiding pressure, avoiding would-be sacks, and then finding your guy across the middle and the back of the end zone, or
Yeah.
on the fly for the first down, or in for the end zone and the touchdown. That is the reality. We saw how the Super Bowl played out. They're not super athletic quarterbacks, but two mobile, very very aware, pocket awareness wise, very aware quarterbacks be very successful because of their ability to navigate the pocket and use their legs to either gain first downs or gain touchdowns. So to me, it's fair. It's a fair criticism, but at the same time, we have to remember there have been plenty and countless times that the NFL has latched on to these 6'5", 6'4", prototypical type quarterbacks. He just looks the part and have done nothing in the league.
Right.
So my counter to that is, what do you have to lose? This is a $1 billion industry. The NFL still has no freaking idea what makes a good quarterback and what makes a bad quarterback. Otherwise, you wouldn't have fourth round picks, you wouldn't have seventh round picks, and you wouldn't have undrafted guys, and you wouldn't have guys coming from alternative football leagues coming to your league and putting on the show. Because why? If your institution or your organization is so good at what they are or so good at what they do, and they're supposed to be the the bread of the basket, the top of the line, how is it so difficult in year 100 to freaking identify what makes a good quarterback and what makes a bad quarterback based on college tape and based on combine measurables? Don't worry, I will wait.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea, and the NFL doesn't have an idea. Until we have an idea, until we have a semblance of idea of how to identify great caliber quarterbacks versus not great quarterbacks, anything goes. And for me, height goes out the window. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. If you can throw the ball, if you can make the right reads, if you can lead and command your offense, I don't care how tall he is. Just
To your
get there.
point, yeah, to your point about the 6'5" quarterbacks, I agree that now I think the prototypical quarterback is what we see with a Jalen Hurts, obviously what we see
Mm-hmm.
with Patrick Mahomes, a quarterback that can move around in the pocket
Mm-hmm.
and make plays, scramble with his feet, and not only scramble to get a first down, but scramble and looking downfield to make throws. I think that's what a lot of teams um, desperately want and
Mm-hmm.
need. I think those 6'5" Peyton Manning, Tom Brady type quarterbacks that are more pocket passers,
Mm-hmm.
um, that are very dependent on an offensive line to protect them. You
Mm-hmm.
can't you can't depend on that anymore.
No,
I would
it's
say
an
unless
anomaly now.
yeah, unless
It's
you
an
have
exception.
4 or 5 Pro Bowlers on that offensive line that
Right.
are not gonna allow anybody to get a hand on that quarterback. I think a lot of teams. That's why you see a Bryce Young at the top of the board. That's why you see a
Mm-hmm.
C.J. Stroud at the top of the board. Anthony Richardson, I've seen up and down that board. I think Will Levis, who has
Yeah.
somewhat mobility, you know what I'm saying, on top of the board.
He's a tank too.
Yeah,
Will is a tank. For all the hate that I have towards Will is a tank, and I think he'll be successful at the next level because of the impact that he has as a runner. And you can't take that guy down first contact. It's just not happening.
right.
But to your point, you don't even have to be small. You don't even have to be big. The thing that we've seen, especially in the NFL playoffs this year, mobility.
Yeah.
Almost every single one of
Hmm.
those quarterbacks has the ability to scramble, make something happen, or break tackles by the way of, I don't
The
know, great
the
footwork in the
ability
pocket.
the ability of mobility.
Yeah, the ability of mobility, exactly. So it's and again, we're seeing it more and more. These quarterbacks are getting quicker and faster, and that's just what it's going to be. Your Justin Herberts, your
Yeah.
Joe Burrows, your your Bryce Youngs,
Yeah.
your. I mean, I know he doesn't go by that name anymore. I thought it was such a dope name, AR-15 Richardson.
The sources hashtag sources came out
Mhm.
and said that the Bears are leaning towards trading that first round, or excuse
I
me,
hope I hope
first
they get the
overall
bag
pick.
from somebody. I really do
Yeah,
because that offense. I mean, of course, not because he's from the Ohio State University, but that offense because he's a young quarterback.
yeah.
Their
Like
limitations are
I
limited.
never got. I mean, I guess I can get it a little bit because you have
Mm-hmm.
great prospects coming up in Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, but without um Justin Fields last season, the team
Probably
doesn't
lose every
win
game.
a
Mm-hmm.
game.
Yeah.
Like he kept them in a lot of games where they won or lost in the end, but a lot of those games that they lost, they were only in it because he was making crazy, magnificent runs. Now he could
Right.
get better as a passer, obviously, but
Yeah,
I
that's
think if you
that's and
surround him,
that's a given. He has to get better as a. I think he know. And the great thing is he knows he's very self-aware quarterback,
yeah,
young player. The thing that the thing that Chicago has to do is continue to put premium picks behind him to make
mhm,
sure that that offense continues to flow. Because regardless of how great you are a quarterback or how horrible you are a quarterback, you need weapons. You need people to protect. You need behemoths that are 6'5" and 315 pounds and run 4.8s
right,
that can protect your blind side. So they get him some more credible pass catchers or pass blockers. I think we'll see some more leaps and bounds from him. But that goes for any quarterback. The draft is all about circumstance.
yeah,
We've seen time and time again how great, magnificent quarterbacks get drafted to horrible teams because, of course, draft order dictates that, and nothing happens, and we consider them busts because of their no type of premium capital is used to fortify their offensive needs. So,
yeah,
and that's all I'm gonna say about that one. I don't
yeah.
want to take too much
Who you
time
got
on
on
that
the
one.
other side?
So on the other side, this one was a little difficult because there are so many amazing athletes, and I say athletes very intentionally. Defense is going to be running laps around offenses for years to come. And I only say this because these guys are only getting bigger and they're only getting faster. One of the more beautiful things that takes place during the combine is we get to see amazing guys that from these amazing backgrounds do crazy and extraordinary things. But I decided to go with somebody who's middle of the pack, kind of average guy, just because he's going to be a standout amongst his peers, who of course are going to get recognition because they happen to be 6'3" and 6'4" corners that run 4.3s, 4.4s, and can play press man, cover two. Like they can do it all. So without further ado, I'm going with on the defensive side. I'm going to cornerback from Mississippi State, Emmanuel Forbes Jr. So this guy's average height corner. I mean, and that's saying something because corners haven't always been 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". More than your smaller guys 5'11", and it's not that it's not that significant. A few inches, pause. But he we need to confirm what we see on the tape. He's a pick six machine. He's very very sticky fingers. He's got great ball skills. But the thing that makes NFL evaluation great is one, looking at the tape, how they perform versus their highs and their lows versus good and bad teams, and then two, confirming what you see on the tape by their measurables and the way that they perform in the combine. So I want to see how he runs. We know that he has great short area quickness because of the way that he's taking the ball out of receivers' hands, as if he is running the routes for the receivers. On a lot of the picks that he has are short and intermediate routes. So I want to see how he performs on some of those more impactful drills, not named the 40-yard dash, because that's easy. Anybody can train to run the 40-yard dash unless your name is Deonte Epps or Dane Beasley. You can't do that. But I want to see how he performs on that. I want to see how he performs on the field drills, just in comparison to everyone else. I want to see the smooth hips and transition and the back pedal and all those other defensive drills that we love watching so much that is now part of this $1 billion machine. Also, he has an opportunity to shoot up the draft boards, and he might be a top 100 pick. He might not be, but we've seen a number of times in the past. Most recently, that comes to mind for me. Uh, and I'm just going to take it back to the Cowboys just because why not? Byron Jones. Byron Jones was just essentially another safety with UConn, and he had an amazing, extraordinary day at the combine. And of course, his draft stock went bananas. Obviously, the Cowboys had him playing out of position for like 2 seasons, and then they
That's so
finally
sad
realized,
about him, man. Did you see
yeah,
that?
yeah, man, it's ridiculous. Which makes this more of an intentional and valuable point for me. Cowboys had him playing out of position for 2 years. I'm like, wait a minute, this dude's not a safety; he's a freaking cornerback. And he say what you want about his lack of ball skills, but he was a lockdown corner. But now, unfortunately, with the circumstances regarding his NFL career, we're unsure what that's going to bring. But I'm glad we have the opportunity to hear from someone as vocal as him about the way that athletes are mismanaged and mishandled, and when it comes to their health, and corrective procedures, whether that's
Right.
some shots, whether that's something that shouldn't be done, or should be done, but just the long-term effects. And I'm not a medical professional, because I can't speak to that. I can only go off of secondary sources, or primary accounts in that way. But I can't say whether there's rhyme or reason, or I can't say for any rhyme or reason whether it's fact or fiction, because I'm not a medical professional. But by and large, Byron Jones is one of the more intelligent people in the NFL, says one thing and is very vocal about it, and he hasn't had a history of being vocal about things like this before. I kind of take reason to listen to it. So
Yeah.
this is an opportunity for Emmanuel Forbes Jr. to show out and go up the draft boards, but there are going to be a ton of cornerbacks who have very
And
freakish height to
yeah.
do some amazing things in this NFL that they're a need.
And
Premium picks.
and to that point, like the way that the rookie cornerbacks this past class played, like teams are gonna try to find that. Like Sauce Gardner
Mm-hmm.
played incredible. You had Jack Jones from
He's
the
built like
Patriots.
Sauce,
Yeah.
by the way. Not as tall, but he's built slender, just like
Slender,
him.
yeah. You
Slender and
had
quick.
Sauce, you had Jack Jones from the Patriots,
What's buddy from the Seahawks? Yeah,
Tariq Woolen from the
yeah.
Seattle, Kobe Bryant, I think, from the Seahawks as well. I think he played for the Seahawks. Am I
Did he
right?
play for Cincinnati? Or am I making that up?
I need to look it up real
Did
quick.
he play for Cincinnati? Because he spelled with a C-O-B-E, right? Or
No,
C-O-B-Y.
he's with the Seahawks. I was right on
Okay.
that one.
I can't remember was he even Cincy or not. Sorry, my bad.
And then Derek Stingley Jr. played well for that Texans defense. Imagine what they're gonna do now that they have D'Amico Ryans. That defense was the strength of that team, and with
Right.
D'Amico, he's like a little kid at the candy store, like with that young group. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Dane, that I really agree with how I feel like the corners are going to be like a spot that a lot of teams look at, looking for that next gem, so to speak.
Yeah. So, and the beautiful thing about it is, of course, if you like watching combine and just keeping up with it, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, March the 2nd through March the 5th, you'll be able to watch all of that take place. And it's just a fun opportunity to watch the lives of 300 or so people changed by, the way that they perform on these
Yep.
drills. So,
Yep.
yeah.
The on-field workouts for the D linemen and linebackers start tomorrow, Thursday, March 2nd. On-field workouts for the DBs are March 3rd. on-field workouts for quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends March 4th, and then O lineman and running back on-the-field workouts are March 5th. Yeah, and you can find all that out on NFL Network, all that good stuff. Dane, we had talked about the offseason and how there are always these contract debates. Um, the big one, obviously, this year, besides, we're not going to talk about Aaron Rodgers because we're tired of talking about Aaron Rodgers. But another big quarterback that is
Question before you continue with that.
Yeah.
How long do you think the conversation goes if Kyrie walks into a bar and Aaron Rodgers is there?
Oh, that's the longest conversation. They probably already talked to each other, man.
Oh,
Probably already talked to each other.
My bad. I ain't mean to throw us off like that.
Nah.
I was like, yeah, two very polarizing people who have very interesting things that they say and do, and it's just like,
yeah, very interesting, those two.
My bad. Back to your point.
Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. He didn't finish the season playing. He was injured. I think he missed like the last 6 games, including the playoffs. He bet on himself going into the season. They talked about contract negotiations for a while before the season. Important to note, he doesn't have an agent, which is kind of playing a role with. There's no like mediation how it usually is with an agent and a player and a team. But reports are kind of saying that they're millions apart on a deal. And for me, just I think, and we talked about it before we started recording, like I think it's so hard to find a legit quarterback in the league.
They don't go
like
on trees.
One that you can trust. Like, I can go win a championship with this quarterback. I think you can name a few off the top in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes for sure, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. Like, not saying that you can go, like, you have a chance to go win a championship, in my opinion. Like, they have times where they play like elite level quarterbacks. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes has proved that with 2 Super Bowl wins. I think Lamar Jackson's in that category. And for them to, I think, obviously it's the business side of it, but to me, if I'm in that building, there's no way I am not kind of trying to lock Lamar Jackson up as my franchise quarterback. Like, I just don't get how this type of player who has been keeping your team, relevant and in the playoff hunt and making these playoff runs year in and year out. Obviously not this year because he finished, he didn't finish the season. But what do you think, Dane, about this situation? Does it get resolved? Does Lamar Jackson get traded? I don't think he gets traded, but I don't know, man. What do you think?
I enjoy chaos, but I also enjoy player empowerment. And in my youth, it always was very selfish and it's shoved down our throats in the media, like how players are selfish if they don't take a smaller contract in order to help, team building. Well, in recent years, I'd say the last 15 years, and my whole process and my whole thoughts about that has changed. Like, it's not a player's job to do an owner, a general manager, or a team a favor to take a pay cut so that they can, I don't know, do part of their job and helping their employer be able to afford everybody else. It's not their job to do that, right? It's their job to use their talent to lead their team to maximize opportunities to win the Super Bowl, right? So here's my thoughts on it. How important is your quarterback? It's one question. How much resources and capital, whether it's draft or just cap space, do you commit to ensuring that your quarterback has what they need to be successful? Okay. 3, how well has your quarterback performed? MVPs, all pro listings, just flat out being the best player in general. And I'm not even going to mention, because it's not a QB stat, it's a team stat. Wins and losses, that's a team stat. You can say fourth quarter comebacks, maybe that's quarterback stat, whatever. But the impact that a quarterback has on a team. We had a good opportunity to see what the Ravens looked like without Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay. Quarterbacks don't grow on trees. We know this. They're not. Again, this is a league there's 32 teams there are not 32 quarterbacks. There are not 32 good quarterbacks. We're lucky if we see 12 or 15, right? I think Lamar Jackson is among the elite quarterbacks. I'd say a top 7, top 8 quarterback in the league because of what he's capable of doing and because of what his ceiling shows. I don't think he's reached the top of his game yet. A lot of the decisions that go on with him making a deal or signing a deal might have to do with historical context. The Deshaun Watson deal. What kind of quarterback is willing to sign a deal that's inferior to that deal? One, because of the guaranteed money. Okay. Two, because of, whether you want to talk about it or not, the off the field versus on the field, contributions. How rusty this dude looked after coming back from essentially however long, game suspension, whether it's self-imposed or not. Anywho, Lamar, get your money. I hope you get, the money that you desire, just for this, not even for the sake of security, but for the sake of respect. I say respect because in the last 4 years, in terms of money committed to offensive production or just offenses in general, the Baltimore Ravens are dead last in the NFL. The last 4 years, $263 million that are committed to their offense. What is the number one team? Or let's go with the number 1 through 5 teams in terms of the amount of money committed to, providing your offense or providing, capital to your offense.
Talk to him.
And this is shout out to Warren Sharp to put this all together. I came across this a few days ago. But number 1, the Indianapolis Colts. Number 2, the Dallas Cowboys. Number 3, Green Bay Packers. Number 4, Tampa Bay Bucks. And number 5, Cleveland Browns. All 5 of those teams have committed well over $390 million over just the last 4 years, whereas the Baltimore Ravens saw fit to only fork over $263 million to that offense. What does that say? He has nobody to go to throw the ball for. Yeah. He has nobody to go to in a pinch. He has nobody to go to if he needs a guy to get that inch.
If your best weapon, is Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews is a great player,
phenomenal,
tough tight end, but you don't want him as your number 1 option.
Nah.
They brought in like Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson's at the end of his career. He hasn't
2012 maybe.
Yeah, he hasn't, to that point, he hasn't had that number 1 target that you give to your franchise quarterback, a la like Tyreek Hill with the Chiefs. AJ Brown,
Justin
exactly.
Jefferson.
Exactly.
He doesn't have one of those guys.
So they got rid of their offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, got Todd Monken, and apparently Lamar Jackson was a part of that process. So I'm assuming they're still trying to work on a deal. But I saw the Atlanta Falcons cut Marcus Mariota yesterday, and those Lamar Jackson mock-ups in that Atlanta Falcons uniform look pretty damn good, man.
We talked about this a few podcasts ago, how my outlandish assumption that he might end up in Atlanta would just be kind of fun to see. Get a second opportunity,
right,
to make things right.
Right. Like give them throwback to the Michael Vick era. Mm-hmm. Like that would put the city on fire. Right. Like I would like that. Like I think Baltimore somehow, I think Lamar Jackson loves Baltimore. I think the city loves him, and I think he loves the city. And in the very end, I think they come to some kind of agreement where he stays there.
They better hope so.
But it's getting, March. The league year starts in March, and we're in March now, so we'll see what happens there, man.
Oh no, Atlanta, they pick 8th. So they might be in the market to get a quarterback or even move up.
Well,
that number 1 pick is still on the
They drafted Desmond Ridder last year, and he played a little bit in the season. I think they still bring in. I think for them they might try to bring in a vet, maybe like a Derek Carr or somebody like that. I haven't heard him Carson visiting. Wentz. Oh Lord, that man is, as you say, Dane. That man's cooked buns. Dumpster juice.
Hey, but he's getting the bread. You can say what you want. The man's been with 3 different teams in 3 years. So what? He's getting his bread. That's the only thing you can, at this point.
Yeah. But we'll keep an eye on Lamar Jackson and see how that turns out in the offseason.
For
But
sure.
now it's time for
What's that sound?
once again Nerdy News segment brought to you by
Shout out to Keith.
Dane. We left off last time you and I were together on the pod at episode 4 of The Last of Us. So I think it's best like if I give like a little glimpse of what happened in each episode.
little rerun.
Yeah, kind of like in the pod 40 minutes
But
in.
wait, it's a screamer.
First we'll start off with episode 5, which sees Ellie and Joel needing the help of Henry and what is Henry's brother's name? Sam. And basically in this episode, they all form a bond and try to plan an escape from Kansas City. We know that they're trying to get away from Kathleen, who was like the leader of this little section of Kansas City. We find out her brother was murdered. And she's trying to avenge that.
Justified, of course.
Justified. And this episode introduced us to the craziest, not villain, monster that we encountered during the game, the bloater. This is probably one of the
Shaq version of a zombie.
Most Walking Dead-ish episode where we see a bunch of they're not even called walkers. What are they called in this show?
Talking about clickers?
Clickers and bloaters. It's a tough episode in the end because we see Sam, Henry's little brother, ends up getting
Spoiler
bit.
alert.
Spoiler alert, thank you, Dane. Ends up getting bit. And ends up getting bit. And basically Joel has to finish Sam off. And Henry, who has just lost his brother, kills himself. And it's a pretty sad ending, especially to see how Ellie had got close to Sam and they become a huge bond. But as we know as we've seen in this show and experienced in the game, that like loss happens so quickly, and not to get too attached to certain characters and things of that nature. That's a quick synopsis of episode 5. Episode 6, we see Joel and Ellie push towards Wyoming because they're looking for Joel's brother Tommy. They end up finding Tommy, and Joel, they embrace obviously, and Joel lets Tommy know about Ellie's status and how she can't get infected, and he's trying to get her to a certain set of fireflies that can, they still think they can help, find a cure. And so they find Tommy in Wyoming, and he has this nice settlement in Jackson, Wyoming. The closest Dane we've seen to civilization in any episode so far, I think. And so we see where Joel is kind of having these panic attacks, anxiety attacks, where he believes through the commentary of the directors of the show, like he is nervous about losing Ellie the same way he lost his own daughter. And so he kind of asked Tommy to take Ellie to the fireflies to get the cure. And you see Ellie kind of resent that because she's feeling like he's the only thing that she can trust and believe in. And so Joel decides that he's going to take Ellie after meeting with Tommy Tommy gives them advice on where to go and things of that nature. But at the end of this episode, they kind of get ambushed by these random raiders, and the episode ends with Joel getting stabbed. And then episode 7, Dane, is like,
said it so matter of fact. Oh yeah, Joel got stabbed.
And Joel got stabbed. And then episode 7, we see is kind of like the DLC of The Last of Us called Left Behind, where we kind of see Ellie's backstory with Riley. And we kind of get her background of how she, became Ellie, so to speak. Um, and so this episode kind of shows the story between Ellie and her close friend Riley. And Riley basically says she became a firefly and how they want to liberate the quarantine zone and things of that nature. Um, but we see also flashback from like to that moment and also to present day where Joel is literally dying and Ellie is trying to figure out how to save him. And at the end of the episode, based on what we see from Ellie throughout the flashback with Riley, she doesn't want to give up on Joel. So she searches and searches and finds some equipment to kind of stitch him up a little bit before the episode ends. I tried to wrap it up as best I could. That was kind of difficult, but what did you think, Dane, of episodes 5, 6, and 7? You can jump around. What's kind of
Sure.
how you feeling about these
I
episodes?
will actually go in sequential order. I
Go
will
ahead,
start
bro.
with 5, then go to 6, and then of course close it with 7. So the beautiful thing about episode 5 was it deviated slightly from the source material from the video game. Video game, the relationship. Ooh, excuse me. The relationship between the two brothers was phenomenal. Henry, not only Henry's actor or the actor that played Henry, but the actor that played Sam as well, both did phenomenal jobs in terms of bringing those characters to life and the added story or context behind what makes them so unique or makes their bond and his commitment to his brother, to his younger brother, so unique. I think they fleshed it out. They fleshed it out very well. The beautiful thing, one of the more beautiful things from that episode, aside from the way that it ended and them sticking to the source material, is one of the quotes. I think Henry, if I remember. Wait, Henry's the older brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm mixing. Okay, yeah,
Yep.
Henry's the older brother. He said he was talking to Joel, and you could see the tears in. I mean, he didn't cry, but you could see the tears and the emotion in Joel's eye after he said. He said, "You may not be her dad, but you were someone's dad."
Yeah.
And it hit Joe like, no, no, no. And the denial was immediately, no, she's just a mission. I just have to take her to so and so. And then the realization that, wait a minute, I am growing more emotionally connected to this, this young kid that I'm taking care of. It's not just business anymore. It's personal. This is family now. So that was beautiful. The way that it all ended, very sad. But the last 10 minutes, it just continued to paint towards, regardless of this being in this apocalyptic zombie kind of world, that Ellie's innocence was on full display. Her trying to save Sam after he was bitten or after he showed that she was bitten. It just one of those things like the curiosity of a kid or just the intentionality of a kid and them trying to defy logic to save somebody or to try to do something. It was just very impressive and very emotional, right? So that was amazing. That was a very great episode in terms of them pulling at the audience's heartstrings. That was great. Episode number 6, we finally see Joel reunited with his brother Tommy, and there's his gasping for air kind of yelp to his brother Tommy. Like that was just like he was like, man, okay, cool, and he was eventually going to find him because
Right.
he played the video game. How that went. So I'm glad that it went that way, and it was even beautiful just to see how this community was thriving and flourished. And then the realization that when Tommy realized that Tommy realized the entire place that he lived at was operating under the guise of communism was amazing. Like, like especially with the way Maria put it, and it's like you could see you could see the point where Tommy realized, wait, I am a communist.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. Tommy the commie. So that was, kind of funny just seeing how that played out, and then just the role that Tommy plays in Joel's redemption. I think the process of Joel's redemption and realizing who he is and what he is, the atrocities that he's committed. Like this is that point where John, I want to keep calling him John. It's Joel. Joel finally comes to terms with with a lot of the things that he's done, both health wise because of the panic attacks, right? It's starting to take a toll on him, and the two, he's being forced to think about it because this isn't the same little brother that's going to do exactly what I tell him to do. This little brother he has a soul now because he sees that there are more than one way of doing things and surviving. And this is the way he put it. The things that the things that they did, they weren't necessary. There were other ways to do it. They did them out of, fear. So seeing Joel come full circle with, some of his shortcomings and some of the atrocities that he and a number of other people were responsible for was a beautiful thing, just because it serves as the point of accountability, right?
Yeah.
Because he has to admit that. part of him admitting is that Ellie is better off with someone else other than him. And that leads me to episode 7. And he got shanked.
He got shanked.
We got stabbed. Ellie, we see Ellie grow up in the blink of an eye with the flashback. And it sucks because we watched you watched Euphoria before, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we get to see this character. Excuse me. I gotta find the young lady's name because I always
Storm Reed.
Storm Reed. You get to see Storm Reed's character yet again look dead into a camera and cry for a number of minutes because of the acts of someone else not including her. Right? So it's like, dang, you've been through this already because your sister's on drugs and doing all these things. Yeah. Now you're in this situation because the girl that you love and both of y'all got bit. And you're probably going to die. Well, at the time, she thought she was going to die. Well, she definitely don't die. She didn't know Ellie wasn't going to die because Ellie was immune. But simply because of the curiosity that you had to try to get back to her and try to rekindle this flame that you had because y'all have gone through so much. It's kind of just like, dang, if you would have just on about your mission, or I don't know, shot the zombie in the head, this would have been a non-story. But seeing how that came full circle and Ellie had to grow up in that flashback and that split second from her, like essentially being shunned away and pushed out by Joel because Joel said, essentially Joel's implying, I don't want you to see me like this. I don't want you to see me die.
Leave me.
So, but she comes back and saves the day. And it's a hell of a lot. And shout out to Ellie for, saving this man. I'm assuming saving this man's life. Well, we know she saves his life. Spoiler alert. But she could have at least knocked him out before she started stitching him up, right? That's like she had this man, he was in there screaming and gasping, because of the pain, but she could have at least knocked him out, give him a 2-piece to the head. He would have, been passed out and she would have stitched him up and have been fine. But I thought it was a beautiful episode. I wasn't sure how it was gonna go because I didn't remember that part of the game and how it went. I do remember Ellie venturing off by herself, if I remember correctly, in a bunch of cutscenes. So
I vaguely remember this next part, like these next 2 episodes. So I'm not. What's funny is I wanted to go back and like look up how it, how it is in the game after this point, but I'm gonna wait. 2 more episodes. Yeah, I could. Gameplay. Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. 2 more episodes left this season. They've done incredible. HBO, everybody, that's a part of the production of this series. It's been a great adaptation of a video game. Probably, I know it's premature to say, but probably one of the better ones that I've seen. Taking something from a video game to the big screen or the silver screen, what they say on TV. So, Dane and I talk about episode 8 next week. But before we get out of here, brother, last week I had our guy Dex on. We talked a little bit about Quantum Mania. Kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it and see about how that boy Kane did.
That boy Kane, man, that boy Jonathan Majors is going to be in his bag for the foreseeable future. I thought the movie was great. Or correction, I thought the movie was good. There's a few things about the movie that just kind of bothered the hell out of me, and y'all touched on some of them. In the podcast about Ant-Man Jr. Well, what's going to be her name? Like when she takes on the mantle of Ant-Man, is it still going to be Ant?
It's supposed to be Stature. You talking about Cassie?
Okay, yeah,
she's Stature.
Okay.
At least that's what she was in the comics.
I wasn't 100% sure about that one, because I wasn't familiar with. Look, I wasn't familiar with her game.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. That's part of my argument, like how she was already like a good ass superhero. Like
Yeah.
I think I talked about it last week, but
And
go ahead.
you did, and that's one of the things I was like, all right, so she just automatically know how to do all this, like this quick. I'm like, we need more build up, and obviously there's more room for that. There's an opportunity for them to explore, different developmental ways of her becoming or coming into her own as the ant person, stature. Sorry, my bad. So that was kind of like cheesy to me. Like she realized how to do that. I mean, it took Ant
And
Man like 3 movies to get to this
she
point.
kept breaking away from Kang's minions. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
I'm
they
like,
weak.
come on, bro. And that's another thing. Like all this tech, this dude ain't had no pin particles, bro.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me all this stuff this dude
And
created?
he's supposed to be like the most intelligent dude.
Even
Like
smarter than Reed Richards. Like, you mean to tell me he wasn't capable of create like? And again, maybe this is just that one thing he couldn't do because of the limitations being in the quantum realm. But I don't know. But pin particles, bro.
yeah.
This is the plot. Pin particles. So that part was kind of like, okay, whatever. But maybe they'll flesh it out a little bit more about that later on. I don't know. But that part kind of annoyed the hell out of me. Janet's character was phenomenal. I liked her character, but I hate that
I already know what you're about to
everybody
say.
finding out about all this stuff after the fact.
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah.
There should have been a formal debrief about everything that went down in the quantum realm because
it was multiple times in the movie where she's like, "We don't want to do this.
By
Don't go.
way,
don't do it."
And maybe that's Marvel's fault. Sorry, the mouse, but maybe that's Marvel's fault for not fleshing out by way of a short series or a spinoff with her, or talking about maybe her in some practical situations where she's sitting down with a therapist recalling what took place, or maybe just recalling with Hank Pym,
just
like,
for audience purposes.
Yeah, just to fill in those gaps so that when we do jump into this movie, there isn't a whole bunch of, oh, by the way, I just so happened to run across Kang the Conqueror, who happens to be, I don't know, the epitome of death and killing Avengers. Like, not mentioning any of this, and it kind of just like Marvel's way of shoehorning that, very lazy, whatever, kill me. And then lastly, for me at least, I hated the way that they did MODOK.
Yeah.
Like, you mean to tell me because Cassie called him a dick multiple times, that was his major
very cheesy
point, and he was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be a dick. Maybe I can be a good guy. Like that.
He died in Avenger.
Yeah, like no, bro. Like no, like you can do that if he had like multiple appearances, like across 5 different movies, right? But it just seemed like really cheesy. And I get it. It is what it is. It's a comic movie. You're not supposed to, be too serious about it. But those are some of the major flaws I had. But otherwise, Kang, he was whooping ass, bro.
Jonathan Majors in that role is incredible. And like his rank. I mean, we saw a little taste of it with Loki season 1 and him being He Who Remains, but like with what he was given and his role in this film, I think he did incredible. Excited to see what he does with the future versions of Kangs that we saw in the post-credit scene. One we'll probably see even sooner with that second post-credit scene, which had him in the Loki season 2 series.
When's that drop again?
Ooh.
Is it this year? Let me put you on the spot. And then it just further goes back to my original point episodes ago. Loki did all of this. The season 1 Loki is still number 1 for a very good reason. Loki put all this in motion.
Reportedly, Loki season 2 is eyeing a late summer release date.
This summer?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I think we both basically had the same little qualms about it, but overall, I had to kind of take a step back and like, this is an Ant-Man film. And so
this is an Ant-Man film. I got you.
What we thought, like, and Dex made a great point last week, like they're not gonna kill Ant-Man in his own film.
No. Not that Ant-Man. They made me kill Hank Pym because he's not the main
I
guy.
thought Hank Pym was gonna die. But I felt like the movie wasn't. I mean, it had serious moments, but I didn't think it had that like life or death. Like I never felt like a character was gonna die.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't have those stakes. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. But yeah, it was a cool movie. Excited to see what's next with Kang, obviously. What is the next?
Reasons.
What is the what is the next? I'm looking up the next MCU.
Next property.
project. It might be Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, which.
And that's the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, right?
Yes. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be May 5th. So that's the next one on deck in 2 months. Trailer for that looked pretty cool, and James Gunn has said it a lot of times that it's going to be a sad one. It's going to be powerful. All the stakes that we kind of thought were going to go into this one.
Somebody dying. Is what
somebody dying. But we'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. But anything else you want to say before we get out of here on this 100th episode? And we got out of here at 1 hour on the dot.
Wow, man.
100 episodes, man. What does that feel like?
What does that mean? That means to me that we have a bunch of people that continue to rock with our annoying asses and continue to push play and rock with us and listen to what we have to say. Listen, I mean, we don't have much credibility, but what we can say is 100 episodes in, and for the most part, a lot of y'all rock with us through it. So we appreciate y'all for just tuning in with us and giving us the opportunity to ramble about things that we enjoy and have a passion about. This has been fun. This has been phenomenal. I would have never. I mean, we talked about this a lot in high school, even for first few years in college. Like we should do something like this, and finally doing it. 100 episodes in, man. I have no regrets. Not even one letter.
Same,
not even one letter.
Same, bro.
I've enjoyed it.
Happy to be rocking with you on this, man. To the next 100.
100
for sure. Finally in the triple. I feel like I always thought we were legit, but now I think we really legit. We got
this is what it took.
We got triple digit episodes.
No, disregard all the incredible guests that we've had on here, all the wonderful things that you've put together and created and edited and revised, and all the wonderful people we've had join us. Throw all that to the side. This makes it credible the fact that we've had 100 episodes.
Yep. Man, y'all ain't real till you get that 100 in your belt.
How does this go with us finding superlatives now? Like in terms of like how does that work?
I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure out something. Yeah. But tell them.
I appreciate you, man.
Of course, brother. I'm happy to be doing this with you still, man. But tell the people what the YouTube people say.
Hey, man, don't forget to hit that like, follow, and subscribe, man, to get all the exclusive content, man. Hit that like button and join the Naughty Gang. And this is one of them dudes, they tell you, join their little YouTube channel, and they're going to give you 10 hours worth of videos with only 13.2 seconds worth of content. But we're not going to do that here. You're going to get in with us. You're going to watch an episode or even listen to an episode for an hour, and you're going to get a whole hour, maybe 59.5 minutes of exclusive content directly from the voice. We're not going to leave you hanging like that. But of course, hit that follow, like, and subscribe. And we appreciate you for rocking with us. Whatever platform you decide to listen to, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all that. Appreciate that, man.
Yep. Dane said it best. I'm Deonte Epps. He's Dane Beasley. We the duo. Episode 100. We out.
The duo. The duo. The duo. The duo. The duo.